I am Lou, shockingly, and tonight we are going to talk about the match between Chelsea and Arsenal. But it would be remiss of me to start this video without mentioning my wee friends, Liverpool. After I did that video yesterday and the match that took place last night, how could I possibly ignore what is going on in the world? And how could you possibly ignore the like button? Please smash it on your way in, folks. Please make sure you say hi in the chat. I see Guess, I see Twisted, I see Marv has champers. I have tea, which is why I'm a little bit late. Had to make my tea by myself today. My helper is not here. My helper is in fact working. So I had to make my own tea today. Slavery, absolute just disgraceful. But first, before we get stuck into the match that might decide the Premier League title race, if there's even going to be one, Liverpool. What is going on? Now, I did a video yesterday, I put it out. I quite enjoyed making the video, I enjoyed looking into it. I felt like I understood their situation a little bit better after making the video. And then they went and did that last night, and I thought, my goodness me. And so obviously the debate rages on. Slot in, slot out. And I have to say, I do take a little bit of satisfaction in this, because normally it's the United manager in, United manager out. It doesn't really matter who it is. Obviously, we have had our own experience of a Dutch manager at Manchester United. It did not work out. Erik ten Hag took his leave of us, and I have to say I was not sorry to see him go. And it is now being argued that Slot is not working out at Liverpool. I see an awful lot of Liverpool fans that are now Klopp wish Slot out, and that it's just not working. He's not the guy. That was too much of an embarrassment against PSV. It just can't happen. We can't allow, results like that in their own ground. It's not acceptable, and he's got to go. And to see the capitulation, the fallout, the absolute just chaos online is very satisfying, because it lets me know it is not just my club that gives their fans sleepless nights. So I wanted to give them a bit of an honorary mention at the start of the video. But they are not in the title race, which is part of their problem. So at the moment, we've obviously got Arsenal right up there at the top of the table. They've got 29 points. They're on a plus 18 goal difference. Second behind them is Chelsea. Chelsea are on 23 points. They have a plus 12 goal difference. And then you've got City 1 point behind Chelsea. Although after City and their game last weekend, they seem to have been sort of written off, even though they're only 1 point behind Chelsea. But so really, because they're playing now on Sunday, the two teams, 1 and 2 at the top of the league, that's who we want to talk about. So, folks, right off the bat, just complete instinct, who do you think is winning that match? Just give me Arsenal or Chelsea. Who is it? Who's going to win? Because I'm not going any further in this video until you give me your opinion. Hello, Mama Flossie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are saying just quick fire who we think's going to win, Arsenal or Chelsea. Marv is straight in there. Chelsea can beat them, but the Gunners are better defensively and have the better keeper. I like how you started there, Marv, and then you sort of just went downhill on me. But you've gone with the draw. Then who have we got? Mama Flossie. Flossie says Chelsea. Guess is saying Arsenal. Marv is giving us a draw. Dinesh is telling everybody to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you very much, Dinesh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dragonfly is saying Arsenal. His head is saying Arsenal, but he has a weird feeling about a Chelsea win. We have the Gorbloxian. I hope I've said that correctly. Arsenal. He's given us Arsenal. So we have a real mix there. We've got some Chelsea, we've got some Arsenal, we've got some draws, we've got some going with the head, we've got some going with the heart. And you know what? Oh, Twisted Baba is in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Twisted Baba is going with Arsenal. And so there is a bit of a mix there. The theme seems to be the sensible option is Arsenal, but there might just be something for Chelsea. There might just, and sometimes football is like that, because we often said, on paper, like I would say, for example, on paper, Arsenal look like the clear favourites to win this match. However, as we know, football is not played on paper. Manchester United with 11 men on paper should beat Everton with 10 men. But do you know what happened? Everton won. Football is not played on paper. So obviously, probably everybody who's not an Arsenal fan wants Chelsea to win, and sometimes when we want things so much, that can colour our opinion. Obviously, all the Arsenal fans are going to want their team to win. I've seen Arsenal fans today talking about not just doubles, not just trebles. I have seen multiple Arsenal fans today talking about the quad. Now, I think they might have run away with themselves a little bit. If you're an Arsenal fan, if you're in here, if you think your team is going for the quad, get your comments in, put me back in my box, tell me I'm wrong and why you're going to win the quad. The rest of us are going to talk about the possibility of Chelsea doing something with this match. So, I'm going to go through the last 5 matches. I'm going to do some stats at the start. I know stats can be a little bit boring. They're not real proper stats. I'm going to go through the last 5 matches between them and then their last 5 matches each. Not in great detail, I'm just going to read them out and then we're going to talk about actual football. But first of all, I see Marv. Marv has my name in the comment, so it's got my attention because we know Lou is easily distracted. The wrong tea, the wrong cable, a comment with my name on it, and you've got my attention. So, Lou, I watched Garnacho against Barca and whoa, different player. Marv, like me, is a Manchester United fan. What I would say is, I have always felt that Garnacho is an incredibly talented player. And I know some people don't. Some people said, he wasn't it, he peaked too early, we overblew his potential, we hyped him up too much, he wasn't that guy. I was one of the people who consistently said, alongside my wee friend Quest, who is a Chelsea fan, who backed into the hilt, said, no, Garnacho is a talented player. The problem was his surroundings, the problem was his environment, the problem was Manchester United, the problem was his hype, people that are around him. I would suggest part of the problem is his brother and the influences, and he didn't have the right structure guiding him, and therefore in the end the problem became his attitude, not his talent. And I think he is now, under Enzo Maresca, kind of relearning to have the right attitude, because Maresca has the time to focus on him, to help him, to show him what he needs to learn. And I think it might really unlock him. It was what I thought Unai Emery could have done for him at Villa, but it actually looks like Enzo Maresca might get there. Marv, back in the chat. Marv is killing it today. He has to be top off the leaderboard, I'm sure of it. Number 1 with the wee purple crown, I betcha. Gunners will not win the Champions League. I don't see them getting past teams like PSG or an in-form Madrid or Barcelona. And in normal circumstances, Marv, I would very much agree with you. But I made a point this week of watching both Arsenal and Chelsea's matches in the Champions League, and honestly, they made Bayern Munich look ordinary. And it was, Anthony, hello. We have an actual Arsenal fan in our chat. Obviously, I'm sure some of the others are, but someone that I know was an Arsenal fan, so I'm not going to misclub people accidentally. But yeah, so I actually made a point of watching both of those matches, and Arsenal absolutely made Bayern Munich just look ordinary. And then Chelsea beat Barcelona. So if we think Arsenal is better than Chelsea and Chelsea beat Barcelona, then surely Arsenal beat Barcelona. I know football doesn't always work like that, but if we're going to be logical about it, you would think that would happen. So, I'm looking, who were the other teams you mentioned? PSG, Madrid. Madrid at the minute is a real funny one. Guess in the chat is a Madrista. She is a Madrid supporter. So, taking her, because I trust her, and she watches them a lot more than I do. Apparently they're having a bit of a funny season, and I think they have their second keeper in goal primarily at the minute. They're a little bit all over the place. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. But first, as I said, I want to go back through the last 5 matches between these two teams. So we're only going back to 2023, so it's not, some wild team, all completely different players. And then I'm going to go back through just the last 5 matches of each of them. So we're looking at their form, okay? So the last 5 matches between Chelsea and Arsenal have been, and I'm going from the most recent back the way. So Arsenal won, they drew, Arsenal won, they drew, Arsenal won. So what I would suggest, if we were going purely off that and absolutely nothing else, potentially we're in line for a draw tomorrow, a score draw. I think the last one was 2-2. So if we're going off that, win, draw, win, draw, win, draw, we're due a draw. But obviously football doesn't work like that. If we take then Chelsea's last 5 results between and I'm taking the Premier League and the Champions League in this, we have win, 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 draw, win. So 4 wins and a draw. And then we take Arsenal, win, win, draw, win, win. So 4 wins and a draw. So you would think, based on recent form, both of these teams are quite level. Then if we look at the most recent match, which has obviously happened in the last 2 days, Arsenal beat Bayern Munich 3-1, Chelsea beat Barcelona 3-0, Barcelona were down to 10 men from the 44th minute. So again, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, I know often when we talk about Europe, we talk about the Champions League, we talk about the Europa League, and we say that other leagues in Europe generally aren't to the same standard as the Premier League. Therefore, when you have a win in Europe, it maybe doesn't count as much. It doesn't mean as much as the wins within your own Premier League. What I will say is there are certain teams that rule doesn't count for. So the likes of Bayern Munich, the likes of a Barcelona, the likes of a Real Madrid, the likes of a PSG, when you're beating these types of teams that are the top of the European teams, they count a little differently. So both Arsenal and Chelsea had really good wins against what would generally be considered difficult opposition. So their recent form is quite level, they're beating similar levels of opposition, and they're beating them with similar scores and results. So if you take all of the statistical information, because I'm not doing any more stats than that, it looks like it's going to be a pretty even battle. But as we've said, football is not played on paper. And if we just actually look at the season as a whole, we look at the teams, how they are, and we look at what's happening around them, Arsenal at the moment are absolutely undeniable. And believe me, if they could be denied, I would deny it, but they can't. And Arsenal have 4 times been top of the league at Christmas, and 4 times they have failed to win the league. So I think at the start of the season, a lot of people were saying, well, look, we've been here before, there's been false dawns before, they've nearly done it before, forever the bridesmaid, never the bride, all that sort of a thing. And so many people, when it came to Arsenal, were saying, we'll believe it when we see it. We need to see it, it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be beyond Christmas. What I will say is that for me at least, this season feels a little bit different, and it's not something that I can put my finger on. It's not something that I can say that is exactly what's different. It's a feeling. It feels different. It feels more sustainable. And that one of the buzzwords, we did the video on the buzzwords, one of the buzzwords is sustainable. Their form, however they're getting the wins, the form itself feels sustainable. And it never really did before. It always felt a little bit shaky. It always felt a little bit nearly. But I have to say, this season, it feels different. And I don't know. I know obviously we've got some Arsenal fans in the chat. Maybe, I don't know if we've got any Chelsea fans in the chat. Please identify yourself. And obviously we've got a lot of rival fans in the chat who are probably cheering on neither of these teams. How does it feel? Am I insane? Does it feel differently to you? And so I'm going to read some of your chats. Anthony, not going to miss your great content on my club. Thank you very much, my friend. Twisted is telling us that he had tuna today. Thank you for sharing. I always wonder if people have eaten fish on a daily basis. Thank you for sharing that with me. Let me know what you've all had for lunch. I don't mind. Guess is letting us know that Real Madrid have been up and down. Vinny often has an attitude which obviously impacts the team, so we did mention them a few minutes ago. Arsenal are going to win. The draws have been at the Emirates, and that's true, they are playing at Stamford Bridge, so that is good information. God Blockstein is telling us hi again. You say hi as many times as you like, my friend. Chelsea looked really good. Their midfield, Neto, Garnacho and Cucurella, pocketed Yamal in that match. Yes, Marv, they played really, really well. They were very convincing. Anthony is countering that and he's telling us, well, Barcelona was missing two of their best midfielders. It's obviously not really a fair reflection then. So who have we got where? I've lost myself, lads. These are all chatting so fast. If Man City and Liverpool are dropping, it might be a two-horse race and hopefully Manchester United can by some miracle sneak into the top four. Well, here is hoping. If we can benefit by others' misfortune, we will take it because apparently it's the only way we're going to do it in this season. Anthony, it's the feeling, Lou, you had when United and Arsenal battled in the early 2000s. Do you know what it is? It is that. It's an emotion, and football is emotional. And you know, the amount of people that I hear saying, sorry, I'm going to come back to what I'm babbling about. I see Keane, they've conceded the first goal in 10 out of the 12 games so far. Keane, well, I'm assuming that has to be Chelsea because Arsenal's defence have been so good, they haven't been conceding loads and loads of goals. So I'm assuming that... Oh, sorry, no, I've skipped your first comment. Liverpool have conceded the first goal in 10 out of the 12 games so far. Honestly, the only thing that is making me feel better about how bad United are is that Liverpool are worse. Genuinely, it is the one thing bringing me hope. And some of you know this, some of you don't. I run a clothes shop here in the town that I'm from. So I work 6 days a week with the public. I'm front facing. I can divide people, but I previously worked in the bookies. And so some of my customers from my bookies come in to visit me in my clothes shop to chat about the football, to let me know how life is, the whole lot. And so one of the guys that comes in to me is the head of the Arsenal fan club in the town where I'm from. So he's originally from London, but he lives here in Ireland, and so his family is here, and he is the head of the Arsenal fan club in the town that I'm from, and he likes to visit me on the regular. Now, he's often sick if Arsenal haven't done very well, but I can't avoid him because I'm in my place of business. So he comes in. Now, sometimes he brings me biscuits, so, you know, we're friends, but he comes in to gloat and I can't run away. So honestly, I think he might be turning me between my brother being an Arsenal fan, the head of the Arsenal fan club in my town, coming to pay me visits in my workplace and let me know how fantastic you are. I think he may be turning me against just a little bit. But yeah, so I just think, you know, the only shining light that I have when I have all of this positivity for Arsenal in my life is the fact that Liverpool are absolutely just falling apart. I will cling on to any silver lining that I can find. So keep it all coming in. Let me see. Rasta is saying hello from New York City. Welcome, Rasta. Big hello to you. What time is it where you are? Is it like some crazy time? Thank you so much for joining us. Who else have we got? Keane, yes. So Keane was talking about Liverpool. See, my problem is I write up the way instead of down the way. Kai from Germany says Kai Havertz. Welcome, Kai. So based on everything, 2:35 p.m. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. So you're behind us rather than ahead of us. It's not some wild time in the middle of the night. Who do you think are going to be the key players for both teams? So I haven't watched every single Chelsea and Arsenal match all season. I have watched quite a bit of it. And so I said on the Football Terrace, I did a match reaction right near the start of the season for Arsenal. So I'd watched the whole match and everybody was talking about, you know, all the different players who was performing really, really well. But for me watching, I suppose, as an outsider and as someone who maybe doesn't watch Arsenal that much, that regularly, the one that really stood out for me was Calafiori. I thought he was really good, and any matches I've seen him since, he's really good. And I did wonder if he hadn't been fit, because he did take a knock. There was question mark over him for international duty, and I think there was question marks in the lead up to the match in Europe. against Bayern Munich, but he was back, and I just think he's quite understated, but he's absolutely fantastic. And I do wonder if they were missing him. You know, we talked about before that sometimes one injury, two injuries to the wrong players, to key players, can make such a difference to the whole team and to the whole season. And I have to say, for me, if I was picking a key player, obviously there are many, because Arsenal's whole squad has been in use through injuries, really. Everybody's been getting a go this season. But for me, as an outsider looking in, I just think Calafiori's been fantastic. And if I was you, he's the player I would not want to get injured. You know yourself as a rival, if you're playing FPL, if you're looking at who am I putting into my team, who's getting me the points, I have shipped Calafiori into my team because he's been so good and I wouldn't have known otherwise. So I'm going to go to Anthony because I see him in there and he is an Arsenal fan. So I am taking, he knows more than me about this. So I'm taking completely his point of view here, which means so are you. So what has Anthony told us? Anthony has said Calafiori, Rice, Zubimendi and Timber will be key for Arsenal this weekend. Yeah, obviously we can't forget about Rice. Rice has just been really, really good. He's just a really good, solid player in the middle of the pitch for you, the middle of your team, the real just central character. And I suppose again at Manchester United we understand how important that is because of the fact that we have been missing that for so many years. So it really is such an important role, such an important position. It cements everything together, and he's very, very good. Zubimendi and Timber then as well. So yeah, all really important. Margaret's agreeing with Anthony there. A healthy Timber has been huge this year. Obviously we had looked at Timber previously when we speak about our former Dutch manager Erik ten Hag, and we went with Martinez, and Timber went to Arsenal, and obviously has just been really, really good. So he's doing really well. Now tell me, because obviously we don't seem to have any Chelsea fans. Chelsea fans have abandoned us. I thought we were going to have a nice, balanced discussion. We were going to get everybody's point of view. We're going to get an Arsenal point of view. We're going to get a Chelsea point of view. Chelsea have abandoned us completely. So if you're facing Chelsea, who are the players that you're most worried about? Who are their key players? Who would you be you don't wish injury on a player, but if you were sort of hoping maybe they might get a little niggle and not start the match, I would be looking at Esteban, or as our quest calls him, Estewow. I am stealing it because I like it. It's really good. I hope he hasn't trademarked it yet, but it's a really good one. And obviously, Estewow has just been absolutely fantastic. He's growing and growing and growing. And we often talk about the fact that Chelsea have this unusual recruitment policy where they essentially recruit only youngsters, more or less, if they can. They it's like a cattle farm. They bring them in, they look at what the good ones are, they keep the good ones, and then they sell on the ones that they don't think are that great. And so eventually you would have thought they were going to find something special, and it looks like they really, really have with Esteban, because he's just, for such a young player, the confidence and the consistent, he's just really brilliant. And I see Anthony there is then talking about Caicedo. I think that's Caicedo. So I think both teams have talent. Both teams have the ability to win this match. And as we know, matches like this, they have a different vibe to them, they have a different feeling. And sometimes in this type of a match, the same maybe as in a derby, all bets are off. And I have to say, for me personally, you're kind of looking at Arsenal and you're thinking they have just been so fantastically consistent. Who can stop them? Who is going to be able to take points off them? Who is going to be able to, make this into an actual race? Because at the moment, I don't really think it is a title race. And I hear people talk about the title race. And I know, I can hear it already. The people going, oh, it's too soon. There's so much football to play. It's not even Christmas. You can't say that. Well, I can, and I did. They're 6 points ahead. That's a lot of points this early into the season. And nobody is looking like actually chasing them down. Liverpool are not in a title race. They are gonzo. United, don't even talk to me. I don't even know if we're in a top 4 race at the minute. City seemed like they were starting to click. And you know when City click, they're dangerous because they can win one after the other, after the other, after the other. But just when it looked like they were starting to click, primarily because Haaland is an absolute machine, they drop points. And you're like, oh, okay, let's just wait and see, because after last season, we know that they're not infallible. And maybe they weren't quite back to the levels we thought they were going to be at. So you're going, okay, who else is there? Who else is going to chase them down? I mean, Spurs are Spurs. There's no point talking about them. All we've got left is Chelsea. Now, I think some of you might know this, some of you might not know this, but we did our predictions between the panellists that go on the Football Terrace. We did some predictions at the start of the season. I predicted that Chelsea would win the league. Now, that was partly not tongue-in-cheek, but it was partly not that I strongly believed they would win the league, but it was a case of they've been doing this project. So we hear all the time, it's a big criticism of Arsenal. They've been in this project. What stage of a project are they in? How many years do you give Arteta? How many more? Do you know, all of this. It's a lot of criticism that Arsenal get for their stages, for their process, the whole lot. They're little buzzwords. And I just thought, well, do you know what? Chelsea have been in this process for quite some time. We've been talking about Chelsea's recruitment policy for quite some time. Yes, Anthony, it's shocking. But as I said, it's more about the fact that I was like, okay, they have been in this process for several years. The players that they're now relying on, they're not kids anymore. They're growing together. Maresca's a really good coach. They should be in the conversation. So I wasn't necessarily convinced they were going to win, but I couldn't bring myself to say Liverpool, who I actually thought were going to win. And to be honest, I didn't think Arsenal were going to be in it. I thought we were going to be second or third again. So I was thinking, okay, it's not necessarily that Chelsea will definitely win, but surely they're going to be in the running for it. Surely it's time that they're in the running, that this project starts to actually produce something for them, the exact same way that people are expecting the Arsenal project to start producing tangible trophies, cups, etc. So I thought, well, okay, Chelsea have to be there or thereabouts, surely at this point. So I did, in fact, predict Chelsea to you have distracted me to win the league. Marv has declared that Sunderland is going to win the league, and Guess has decided that we are now all Sunderland supporters. Mama Flossie, loyal to the end to her Newcastle, is having none of this. Guess, I don't know if you know this, but you know the way there's rivalry between like United and Liverpool, and you know United and Arsenal, and there is quite a strong rivalry between Newcastle and Sunderland. And our Mama Flossie is a Newcastle fan, so you've basically just spit on her. She's highly offended. But Guess might not know about that, because I'll be honest, until Mama Flossie and Ash entered my life, I was not aware of this. So I'm new to this rivalry, and I also probably still couldn't find Sunderland on a map, if I'm being quite honest with you. But their fans have been actually very lovely to me and my channel. They've given us lots of likes. They've given us lots of views. They're very friendly when they join us in the chat. So we like Sunderland, unless we're Newcastle supporters, in which case, up the tune. But as Newcastle and unlikely Sunderland, they're not going to win the league. At the moment, everybody else has fallen off, everybody else has fallen away, nobody else is looking likely. And it just makes me think, if Arsenal can beat Chelsea at the weekend, they're going, what, 8-9 points clear? Who's going to stop them? Surely that's, I mean, what kind of a race is that, where someone like is starting 2 minutes after the last person? Now, as I said, City are only 1 point behind Chelsea. So there's a possibility if City do actually click, they might hunt Arsenal down. But City aren't looking like City this season, nor last season. So there's a high possibility that they're going to be very stop-start and they're just not actually going to get that rhythm going. So if they don't get the rhythm going, and people seem as unsure of Chelsea as they are of Arsenal, who is going to chase them? Who is going to chase them down? Because to me, a race is when there's a possibility that either of them could actually win. If Arsenal beat Chelsea this weekend, who's left? Honestly, I don't think it is too soon to say, maybe not over, because a miracle might happen, something crazy could happen. But you would have to say that really the likelihood would be that it's Arsenal's league. It certainly is Arsenal's league to lose. So I find this game very interesting because it's not a 6-pointer in the traditional sense that we talk about. But I think it does decide whether we're going to have a title race or not. And people talk about last season that it was very boring, that it wasn't a good league, that Liverpool won because other teams were poor, Liverpool ran away with it, and basically there was no excitement, there was no sort of jeopardy in it because they won the league so early in the season. The same people are saying that you can't say Arsenal has won the league because it's so early in the season. If they're going to go 9 points clear at the top of the league, what else would you call it, to be honest with you? I would call it basically winning the league. So I think this game is massively important, not just for the two teams that are participating, but for the whole league. I think it really could decide the trajectory for the entire rest of the season. So, sorry Anthony, close your ears for this part. I personally would like to see Chelsea win. First of all, because I don't want Arsenal to win the league as a Manchester United fan. Second of all, I don't want the league to be more or less over at this point in the season. But from an Arsenal fan's point of view, Lou, they're saying it because Arsenal are 100% the most hated club in England. I don't know, because I reckon that's United. I think we all feel like that a little bit about our club. I think potentially Arsenal fans as a group, now some of them are lovely like our Anthony, but some of them are highly irritating. And so I think potentially Arsenal isn't the most hated club. I think the Arsenal fans might be some of the most disliked as a group, not as individuals. I definitely think United is up there with most hated. I think, is Liverpool really hated? I mean, I know we have the rivalry with them, but does other people hate them? I can't tell. Guess, there you go, Anthony. Guess is also a United fan and said there's a lot of clubs that she dislikes more than Arsenal. I mean, who would need more of a vote of confidence than a United fan saying they dislike a lot of other clubs more than you? But that's all right, Anthony. I don't mind. We're not going to agree on everything, but I think we do pretty well for rival fans. Yeah, Marv's chipping in there. He dislikes 115 FC more than he dislikes Arsenal. Do you know what it is, Anthony? I think you're a lot more likeable than you realise, my friend. So, do we think this game, do you agree with me that this game could actually decide the trajectory of the whole rest of the season? Or am I just absolutely bigging up the whole match far too much? There's so much more football. Are you one of the people that says there's more football to play? It's far too early in the season. Don't be crazy. Or do you agree with me? If it goes to 9 points, who is chasing? Because I wouldn't even call it a pack at this point. It's like a string. So where are you? What do you think? Hello. We have some lovely people joining us in the chat. But let me know, do you think if Arsenal beat Chelsea on Sunday, that is more or less, short of a miracle or something absolutely wild, that is the season done and dusted in terms of a title race? It's actually just going to be a top 4 race or top 5, because we're likely going to have 5 going into the Champions League. Anthony is saying, I think it only feels that way because everyone is making Arsenal content on YouTube. Very true. and I'm going to be a hypocrite because right now I am making Arsenal and Chelsea content on YouTube. But it does feel, as not someone who produces content, but as someone who watches a lot of content, it does feel that everybody and their mother is talking about Arsenal, primarily not Arsenal fans like myself, and it does put people off because it's not necessarily that they have a problem with Arsenal, but they're that sick of hearing about yous. They just don't want to know. And I will be honest with you, only for this match, I think it's so important. I, as a creator, would have went out of my way not to speak about Arsenal because everybody else is doing it. But this match was so important, I just didn't think that I could actually avoid it. I thought it had to be talked about. And people are talking about the match. I think, oh, hello, Streets. Welcome, welcome. Now, Mancunian Red. I'm sorry, I had to lean in to read your name because I saw you coming in and saying evening. I wanted to shout you out and say hello. I didn't want to butcher your name and I wanted to make sure I was reading it right. Please smash a like on the video as you are coming in, guys. Obviously, I'm quite new to this. Obviously, I'm still learning. But the more people like the video, the more it goes out there into the YouTube world, and we will grow our little chat group. The more different fan bases, the better, because then we get so many different opinions, we get so many different perspectives, and I think it gives us a more full-rounded opinion the more people that we're speaking to. I will just make a little note here while we're talking about the match, and I don't know if this is something that the Arsenal and Chelsea fans have looked at, but it's something I look at as a Manchester United fan. Every time I'm going into a match, I am checking who's the referee. Because some of these referees, you know they're going to make the match about them. So if anybody doesn't know, the referee for the Arsenal v Chelsea game, Chelsea v Arsenal, is Anthony Taylor. Now, I don't know how Chelsea and Arsenal fans feel about Anthony Taylor. I hate to see him reffing Manchester United. I hate to see it because there is almost always a controversial decision. Between him and Michael Oliver, honest to God, anybody but them. I just can't. He's not for me. He's one of the refs I don't like to see reffing my team's matches. So how do you guys feel? Because I know we have a really broad spectrum of different fans in here that all support different teams. How do you feel when you see Anthony Taylor reffing your team's match? And while you type those answers, I'm going to take a drink of this tea because otherwise it's going to be freezing cold, and I made it myself, so I'm going to enjoy it. It is good to see you too, Mama Flossie. It's good to see everybody. Do you know what it is? I'm going to start trying to do more lives, guys, because obviously the pre-records are good and they're handy for me, but I like getting a chat. I like speaking to you. Do you know what I mean? It feels a lot more interactive. I feel really weird when I'm sitting in a room just recording myself, talking to myself. At least when you guys are here in the chat with me, we can actually have a bit of a back and forth like that. Anthony can tell me he thinks I'm talking nonsense. He might tell me another time he agrees with me. We normally have Twisted in here. He is forever keeping me on my toes. It's great just to have the chats going and to see everybody, and we're just able to have a bit more of a chit chat rather than me talking at you. I know obviously it's hard, to get the vibe for things when everything is just pre-recorded. So, no comments for Anthony Taylor. Okay, so maybe you guys don't mind them. That's okay. Not a big deal. But I find something as a fan that I'm doing more and more, because I think the referees really do, depending on who it is, they really can change the whole game if they're card happy, if they're not, if they call for every foul, if they don't, if they have an unconscious bias towards one team or another. And when a game is as important as this, you do not want to come down to a referee's call. Whoever wins, loses, draws, you want to come down to the players and the teams on the pitch and absolutely nothing else. So I think that's really the most important thing. I do comment. Oh, hold on. Anthony says he wants to hear Don. Don is a Chelsea fan, that goes on the football terrace. His reaction and his narrative changes when Chelsea lose. I am reading that as the non-rude word because We'll be respectful. I don't know, maybe there's some Chelsea fans lurking. We want them to feel welcome. Yeah, well, try not to get yourselves timed out, folks. Rob Always United, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, hi, hi. Rob, I was just saying that Anthony Taylor is reffing the match between Chelsea and Arsenal at the weekend, and he's someone that I don't like to see reffing Manchester United matches because he's one of those, sometimes the decisions can be about them rather than about the match. So you might understand where I'm coming from on that as a fellow Manchester United fan. Oh no, I didn't see yours about Taylor, Anthony. It didn't come through. Do you know what it is? YouTube has kind of an auto filter where it can actually block a comment before it even gets to say, oh no, Flossie saw it. I didn't see it. Hold on. Flossie, was it very rude? Is he in the naughty corner? Oh, no, I see it. I didn't. It went past too fast. Apologies. It was not YouTube. I was going to blame YouTube. It wasn't YouTube. It was just my eyesight. That's what these are for. You'd think I would use them. Okay, so Taylor is terrible towards Arsenal. Oh, okay. So, and he doesn't like Arteta. Bad ref for us at the weekend. And that's the thing. You never want to be going into a match thinking the referee is going to be the deciding factor. You don't want that. No fan wants that because you want the win or the loss to be on merit and not to do with poor decision making. So hopefully he's going to be on his best behaviour. Hopefully somebody will tie Arteta to his seat because I see Arteta is so animated. He's up and down, he's running the lines, his hands are going, he's all go, so he is. And honestly, I can see, does he ever actually stay in his technical area? Because he must run up and down that much. Now, do you know what it is? At least he cares. At least he cares. You know, you'd be given out if he looked like he wasn't bothered as well. So he's very, very animated. But yes, if there is a referee that maybe takes exception to that and doesn't like it, and it's a pivotal game for the season, you probably don't want your manager getting sent off or a yellow card for being too animated because the ref has maybe a little bit of a dislike for that sort of character trait. I see there is Thanksgiving dinner going on for Marv. Enjoy, eat enough for all of us if you can. And happy Thanksgiving to those who do celebrate it. I really hope everybody is enjoying. But lads, like that, I'm going to call it there because it was just a little bit of a chat. I suppose really, who do I think? I can't end before I give you my opinion because we've done loads and loads of talking about it. Streets, that we've done a bit of talking around that. Could Arsenal win it all this season? When you say all, do you mean the quad? Do you mean all as in all the Prem? All what? Tell me what you mean by all. Do you mean the quad? Because I have seen Arsenal fans talking about that. Anthony has been talking about that. I don't know if they're going to win the quad just because it sounds so unrealistic for any team, not just Arsenal. It just, like, the treble itself is such a crazy feat. The quad seems absolutely insane. Streets is saying Premier League, Champions League and the FA Cup. I mean, the thing is, if nobody can beat them, maybe. I mean, it's not crazy. They might go from being always the bridesmaid, never the bride, to being proposed to 3 times in the space of 3 months. Do you know what I mean? It's, if nobody can beat them, if they stay this consistent, their goal difference is unbelievable, their squad depth is unbelievable. They had players out injured and substitutes were coming in and you didn't notice any difference at all. The quality didn't drop at all. And as I said at the start of the video, it really does just feel a little bit different this season. So I definitely think this is their year. I think they're winning the Prem. I really honestly believe they're winning the Prem. Champions League is so difficult. I mean, they made Bayern Munich look ordinary, which is incredible. But I do think the Champions League is so hard, and all it takes is one bad day and you're buggered. So they might, but But it's possible. I'm not saying no. It's that niggle. Do you know the niggle? Because they've started well before and they've kind of fallen down. I think it's possible. I think it's likely they're going to get 2 trophies this year. I think at least one of them is going to be the Premier League. And it does feel different. But I do think a huge, huge amount depends on this weekend. Because if Chelsea beat them this weekend, I think at the minute they've a lot of aura. They've got, they're winning easily, they're beating all these teams, they're consistent, they're scoring, they're defending, they're doing so well. But I think if they lose to Chelsea at the weekend, they lose some aura points. At the moment, teams are afraid to face them because nobody knows what's going to undo them. If Chelsea take points, they lose that sort of air of infallibility. They become Arsenal that starts well and then maybe slips up. And I think teams then face them with a different attitude. And it could start a spiral. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Arsenal are going to win. But it's possible. And Chelsea are one of those teams, you don't know what they might do. They're just a little bit unpredictable. And they have some really talented players. So if all of their players turn up, if the tactics are right, and if Arsenal have a slight off day, that could be it. You could lose 3 points. The gap might go from 6 to 3 instead of up to 9. And then suddenly race is on. And when the race is on and there's someone breathing down their necks, that's when Arsenal struggle. So, as an outsider looking in, I want Chelsea to win. I think it's possible Chelsea win. But I think the more likely outcome is that Arsenal win. And I think if Arsenal win this game against Chelsea, they win the league. That's where we are. Putting it out there onto the internet, so if I'm wrong, everybody can come at me. But I just think that it feels different this season, and that seems to be the vibe around the place. So I think I saw Anthony. Anthony, did you say 4-1? You reckon it's going to be 4-1 to Arsenal? I reckon it might be a bit tighter than that. I think you're looking at maybe a 2-1. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be cagey. I think there's going to be cards. I think Arsenal win 2-1. But like that, this could be an upset. This could define the rest of the season. I'm going to let everybody go. It's 8:05. I know there's something football on. Don't want anybody missing out. I'm going to go drink the rest of this tea. Rob Always United is saying 2-1 to Chelsea. So he's going 2-1 the same as me, but he's going in the other direction. And I have to say, I hope you're right instead of me. But thank you so much for joining, guys. Please do smash a like on the video. Get your comments in on the video afterwards. Get your score predictions into the comments so we can keep a track of them. We can talk about them after the match. We can see who was right and who was wrong. And I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye, guys.